What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button because that's the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does, that it helps to make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get the notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends to inform them on this news and information. And yes, that does help to give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm as well. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we have to talk about some devastating news that came out that has absolutely crushed Kamala Harris's campaign as it pertains to the migrant crisis. And I'm going to let Fox News tell it better than I can, but I will interject when needed and when necessary. But boy, oh boy, I don't see and or understand how anybody can vote for Kamala Harris after you've been introduced to what I'm getting ready to play for you right now.
ICE has something called a non-detained docket. Essentially what that is it means migrants who were encountered by DHS but are no longer in federal custody. So who's on this non-detained docket? It's illegal immigrants who were caught and released at the border, released with the court date years away. They're in immigration proceedings, combined with illegal immigrants who have already been ordered deported from the country by a judge but are still here roaming the country. So keep that in mind, this non-detained docket. According to a letter that the acting director of ICE just sent to Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez, on ICE's non-detained docket, they're currently tracking 425,000 non-citizens who have been convicted of a crime. Of that number, over 13,000 non-citizens have convictions for homicide and are on the non-detained docket, meaning they're roaming the country right now. On top of that, there are another 15,811 non-citizens convicted of sexual assault who are roaming the country right now on ICE's non-detained docket. It doesn't stop there. Those are convictions. The ICE director also says there are currently just under 1,900 non-citizens on the non-detained docket who have pending homicide charges who are roaming the country, and another 4,250 non-citizens who have pending sexual assault charges who are roaming the country on the non-detained docket.
Once again, how you can still vote for Kamala after hearing this is besides me. Because when you're looking at Harris and Biden administration, they're literally the ones that created this mess. They created this. And now Kamala Harris wants to go to the border, but it's too little too late. And that's why you will also notice now with this devastating news out, you're going to see everyone from CNN to MSNBC throw the cape on for Kamala Harris in order to save her from this devastating news. Now, what I want to do is take a moment to transition over to Kamala Harris's interview on MSNBC. What I want to focus on is the portion of this interview when they spoke on illegal immigration. I want you to hear what Kamala Harris's solutions are. Now, remember, take into account what we just heard concerning the literally thousands of those convicted of homicide. Outside of those, alongside with those that have been convicted of numerous other heinous acts that have been brought into the country by the Harris and Biden administration. Pay attention to Kamala Harris's solution and particularly make it a point to listen to what she states at the very end of this clip. Let's listen to this very quickly.
You are going to the border. Immigration is complicated. One of the issues is an economic one. And no one is eating cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio, and I'm glad not to be talking about that. But there are people there that are stressed, that feel that they're at capacity. Communities around the country that have legal immigration, many have said, we're at capacity. And many feel like the government has said to them, well, adapt, sit down, be quiet. This is how it is.
That's definitely what Brandon Johnson told the citizens of Chicago in more or less words. That is 100% what the people of Chicago have been told. I mean, we've all been told this, but in Chicago, basically, shut up, be quiet. It is what it is. Cry harder. That's literally the message that we've all been given here. So that in of itself is not a lie, but carry on.
What would a Harris administration do for those communities who've taken in many, many legal immigrants but are at capacity?
Well, first of all, we do have a broken immigration system, and it needs to be fixed. And if we take a step back, months ago,
before she gets into her spiel and starts blaming it on Trump, you can't talk about a broken immigration system that you deliberately broke. I'll make this very quick, as I typically do. When Harris and Biden got into office, the first thing they did was that they put a moratorium on deportations, meaning all deportations of illegal immigrants ceased immediately. They stopped all deportations. They repealed Donald Trump's remain in Mexico policy, which was a policy that said that, hey, if you want to come here seeking asylum, you can do that if you want to, but you're not going to wait in the United States. You're going to remain in Mexico, as the policy is called, remain in Mexico. And whenever we get to you, we'll get to you and we'll let you know whether or not your asylum process has gone through successfully. But in the meantime, you're going to wait in Mexico. You're going to wait in Mexico. And what did Biden do? Biden repealed remain in Mexico and put in place catch and release, which is the complete opposite of remain in Mexico. Catch and release essentially is remain in the United States. And that's when you have everybody flooding over the border illegally. And it doesn't matter if they came illegally, because we operate under catch and release, meaning that as soon as you get here, you will get your paperwork with your assigned court date to when you will see the asylum judge. And until then, have fun in your 5-star hotel in New York or Chicago. Carry on, Kamala.
The most conservative members of the United States Congress came together with others, proposed a border security bill that would have put 1,500 new border agents on the border to help those hardworking border agents who are there right now working around the clock. Would have put more money into stemming the flow of fentanyl, which is killing Americans around our country and devastating communities.
I'm sorry, I just can't listen to her lie like this. When she's talking about putting more Border Patrol agents, she was not putting, they were not going to put more Border Patrol agents underneath that bill to secure and fortify the border. That is not what they were going down there for. Essentially, those extra agents were going to be extra customer service agents to help process illegal immigrants coming into the country faster. They were putting more customer service agents down there, not agents to secure the border.
To put more resources into our ability to prosecute transnational criminal organizations, which in my career I've prosecuted. Donald Trump got word of the bill, realized it was going to fix a problem he wanted to run on, and told them to kill the bill, don't put it up for a vote. He killed a bill that would have actually been a solution because he wants to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And that's part of what needs to be addressed. And my pledge is that when elected president, if the American people will have me, I will bring that bill back and I will sign it into law. And we need a comprehensive plan that includes what we need to do to fortify not only our border, but deal with the fact that we also need to create pathways for people to earn citizenship.
What she's talking about is mass amnesty. Once again, go back to the Fox News report and everything that you just heard. She's talking about a mass amnesty bill, making all of those exact people citizens, making them citizens. That's what she's talking about. That's what she wants to do when she gets into office, is make all of those people that you just heard about in the Fox News report citizens. A mass amnesty bill is what she's going to be pushing forward. This is something that they've been saying repeatedly. Elizabeth Warren has said the same thing when she was speaking on Kamala Harris's behalf not too long ago. Believe what they're saying when they tell you, okay? They're telling you what they're going to do. You should believe them and take them on their word. Now, what I find interesting, as I stated earlier, is because Kamala Harris is so horrible at articulating herself, and on top of that, you're taking into account the devastating illegal immigrant news that we're hearing here from Fox News, right? You take that into account. What you have is everyone putting the cape on for her. There was a recent CNN news clip that I listened to. I don't have it with me to play now, but they were running cover for Kamala Harris concerning the migrant crisis and the border, because she did visit the border today, which is a Friday. And also on MSNBC, the very exact same woman who interviewed Kamala Harris is also the same woman who literally lost it recently on MSNBC because of the fact that overall, no one believes Kamala. These interviews aren't helping her at all whatsoever. They know it's not helping her. And she was so beside herself that she just pretty much went crazy on air. Let's watch her spaz out at the MSNBC studio.
Crazy to think that half of America is A-OK supportive of mass deportations. But what a lot of voters are leaning towards Trump on immigration is that he does talk about it every day. So the fact that she's now talking about it is a huge win. And not just going to the border, but talking to communities around the country that have had a huge influx of legal immigration. But those communities are economically strained, right? They are maxed out. And what she's starting to do now is talk to those communities. You know, when she talks immigration, not just talking about the dreamers, not just talking about the path to legal immigration, but to say to Americans, and right, nobody's eating cats and dogs in Springfield, right. But there are lots of people in Springfield who are saying, my town looks different, my town feels different. We're stretched, our schools, our hospitals, and she's now starting to address that, which is a huge positive because
have you ever seen news anchors campaign for a presidential candidate the way we've seen news anchors campaign for Kamala Harris across the board? From ABC to MSNBC to CNN, I've never seen anything like this before. Such a strong collective front by the mainstream media to push for one candidate. There's nothing objective going on here. And that's fine, but I just wish they would stand on it. Change your name from MSNBC to MSDNC. She's literally campaigning. This is supposed to be a news anchor who's supposed to be objective, but is campaigning on the behalf of Kamala Harris to get you to believe whatever it is that's coming out of Kamala's mouth concerning the migrant crisis, but trying to distract you from the fact that her and Biden actually created it.
Until now, Donald Trump touches a scintilla of truth, a scintilla, and then pushes it into a total lie zone. She's now getting into that space and seeing those people who potentially have felt like the government said, sit down, be quiet, and get used to the new world. And
that is what they said. That's 100% what they have said. And on top of that, concerning Donald Trump's apparent lies, based off the Fox News report, once again, remember when Trump was warning everybody about how they're releasing their prisoners from jail and they're coming here into the United States? Well, based on the Fox News report that we just got from the official ICE documentation, it looks like he was right. It looks like he wasn't lying, but they're still lying to you, saying that he's the liar. Kamala Harris is a dishonest liar, and that's why she needs an entire mainstream media apparatus to campaign on her behalf. Without them, she would have absolutely no shot on an equal level playing field where newscasters, where news anchors were actually objective the way that they're supposed to be. She would have no chance. But that's not what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with an entire propaganda wing of the DNC as it pertains to the mainstream media. Like I always say, with the exception of like Fox News and the New York Post, everybody else is DNC media. And that's what we're witnessing here right now. And none of them want to report on the actual facts concerning the number of those convicted of homicide, those convicted of sexual crimes, those convicted of a host of other crimes and crimes that were still pending in their homeland that are now over here roaming the streets free. And Kamala Harris is out here talking about a fast track to citizenship. I rest my case. With all that being said, that does it for today's news. Thank you all for watching. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video out on your social media platforms. And also don't forget to follow me on Telegram and Rumble. Both my Telegram and Rumble links will be in the description box below, as well as pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. And to the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.